Hey, this is Russell Brunson. Right now I'm wearing my Funnel Hacker for Life t-shirt, established in 2014. That's when ClickFunnels first started. And this year at our Funnel Hacking Live event, I did a really cool presentation called Funnel Hacker Evolution, showing the evolution of what's been happening over the last decade since we started this movement, since we started helping people to start and grow companies online using sales funnels. And the community we've developed and the people are called funnel hackers. In fact, you were probably one of my funnel hackers. I'm glad you're here. But I wanted to share with you this presentation from this last Funnel Hacking Live because on this presentation, I talked about the evolution that we all have to go through as people, as marketers, as entrepreneurs, as funnel hackers to be more successful. Of all the presentations I gave at this year's event, this is the one that got the best feedback. People were going crazy for it, and there are a lot of really cool things that I think would be of value for you. So with that said, I wanted to show you guys this presentation. If you are a funnel hacker or you want to be a funnel hacker, this is going to show you the evolution. With that said, check out this presentation called Funnel Hacker Evolution. You guys ready to jump into my first presentation? All right. I'm calling this one Funnel Hacker Evolution. Obviously, we've been doing this game now for 10 years as funnel hackers, talking, hanging out, like going on this journey together. And I thought about that a lot. I was like, what's the evolution? Like, where have we come? Like, where we come from? Where are we going? What's been happening? And to kind of kick off this presentation, I want to start it showing you guys a really quick video. And this, obviously, yesterday we had the longer kind of State of the Union video. This was in here as part of it. But I want to take just this video. It's like 2.5 minutes long. And it's going to show you kind of what's been happening over the last decade here inside the funnel hacker community. And I just wanted to lead with this to get us in the right state to go deep and talk about some really cool things to help you on your journey as a funnel hacker. So with that said, let's watch this video really quick. I'm showing you guys the last 10 years inside the funnel hacking community.
So we had this idea. We're working on this thing right now. It's amazing. It allows us to actually create marketing funnels. Most entrepreneurs, we have so many stresses. The last thing we want to worry about is our sales funnel.
I felt trapped and exhausted by my life.
I went through probably 12 business tries, and they were all failures.
We literally were selling furniture out of our home.
That's why we created ClickFunnels.
The office that we just moved into.
We wanted to focus on impact and on legacy.
I have a calling. Yesterday I realized I have to do this.
Well, today is the day that you changed the world.
Finding ClickFunnels is like finding a flashlight in the woods. It's brought us home.
I can help people in ways that I hadn't previously thought were possible.
I found my people.
I found people that actually think like me.
I discovered my purpose.
It's changed not only my life, but my family's life, and actually brought us closer.
I'm like getting goosebumps talking about it.
The world's beginning to take notice.
6,000 coaching calls.
771 members. Over 25,000 students.
Amazing mastermind.
I'm like, we gotta come to Mastermind in Paradise.
FHL. Unlock the secrets.
100,300.
If anyone can help, it's you guys.
It's beautiful, guys. If you could get there on your own, well, then we wouldn't need each other. And if we don't need each other, then we would ultimately have no purpose in life.
And we're there for each other through all the ups and downs, the good times and the bad.
You guys were born as entrepreneurs, but you're here today because of a choice you made. So while you're an entrepreneur at birth, you are a funnel hacker by choice.
For the first time ever, Funnel Hacking Live is going virtual.
Keep hacking the world, bro.
This has been quite a journey.
Let's get out there. Let's change the world. Let's help people out. Let's go, ClickFunnels family!
Together, we're building a whole new world. Every funnel that you guys launch out there, we actually donate money.
This couldn't have happened without ClickFunnels.
Everyone here believes in us.
There's heart, there's family.
And we all advance.
It's just fire.
We have amazing God-given talents. When we lean into them, we can do incredible things.
You are meant to shine!
I love you. I freaking love you.
We're ready to make an impact!
Go find your people. They need you.
We're nothing without you, the funnel hackers. The people who are crazy enough to take risks, to go all in and impact the world in a way that we never could.
And the gift of that, that's everything.
I saw Diane's comment. She said, "Great, I'm crying again now," and so am I. So that's how we're going to start today off. Very emotional, but man, the last 10 years have been the journey of a lifetime for me, for our team, and just looking back, it's just crazy how fast it's gone, but also like just all the things that have happened, all the connections, all the people, and it's just been, like I said, the ride of a lifetime, the honor to be able to serve you guys for so long. And we're just getting started though, which is fun. So today again, I want to talk about funnel hacker evolution, and I've got a couple things I want to share. Some things are very much like the mindset side of things, and some things are going to be more focused on actual tactical, like how to get things done in your business. And I just had kind of a bunch of things I want to share that I thought would be fun to talk about today, this morning, to kind of kick off today. So the first thing I want to talk about, especially right now here in the United States, I know we're streaming this all around the world, but we're in the middle of a whole bunch of like just crazy times, right? Specifically, for here in America, it's related to the elections, right? All the chaos and the things that are happening, and it's tough. And it's funny because I'm not very political. I don't get involved. I don't watch that kind of stuff. But what's interesting is like as I keep seeing these candidates coming up and promising this and that, all sorts of stuff, I'm like, I don't think that is what's actually going to change the world. Like it's not going to be political candidates. It's not going to be the schooling system. Like these things are not the things that actually change things, right? The people that are going to change the world are us. It's the entrepreneurs. It's the people who are actually out there creating things that they love, that they believe in, that they want to do. And so my very first thing I want to share, secret number one here, is that you guys are the hero of the story. And I want to share it because it's interesting. You look at entrepreneurship as a whole, like it's vilified in the mass media. I heard Myron talk about this one time. Myron said, have you noticed that like every single time, if you watch any movie, any TV show, like who's the villain of every single show? It's always the evil billionaire who's got this plotting scheme to kill all the people and like ruin the world, right? It's always like the rich entrepreneur who's the bad guy. Even Disney movies, like we were watching the Lorax with the kids, and I'm like, man, they make the entrepreneurs look like the worst people on the planet. Like every single thing, like the world makes us look like the bad guys. And it's crazy to me because like we're literally the ones that are trying to change things. We're the ones trying to help people. We're the ones who are the only ones actually out there getting our hands dirty, doing things in each of our individual spheres. And I wanted to kind of to begin today just thinking about that. Like, I don't want you guys thinking like, you know, entrepreneurship, this things that we're doing, the things we're trying to create, that this is bad or anything. Like you guys literally are the heroes of the story. And if it wasn't for you guys, like the world would never change. And I have a chance to see it at this level, which is so fun, you know, looking at literally at this point, you know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that have come into our ecosystem at one point or the other, all of them with different missions, different messages, and then taking it inside of their sphere and changing the world. I'm just looking right here in this room. It's just all my inner circle members, and like I can tell every single person's story. Every one of you guys in here has a group of people that you've been called to serve and you've changed their lives. And just the impact of this room alone is insane. Like I would say, if we were to like take each of your guys' impacts and then look at that, how far it rolls out, it's in the tens, if not hundreds of millions of people, just in this room right here, not counting the over 10,000 people virtually all around the world right now who are participating in this event, right? And so like this is the first thing I want to talk about, is just understanding that you guys are the heroes of the story. And to lean into that and be excited by that. Because when you look at that, then it's like, okay, I'm the hero. This is not just like me trying to figure out how to make some money. Like I'm literally changing people's lives. And if I'm willing to step up and step into my calling and do the things that I'm supposed to do, I can change the world for this group of people that I've been called to serve, right? And that's number one. As I was putting these slides together, I was just thinking about the last 10 years of going to Funnel Hacking Live every single year and spending time with everybody. And this is a quote from Alex Sharfin, who spoke a couple times at Funnel Hacking Live, and it's one of my favorites, talking specifically about us as the entrepreneurs. He's talking about where do we fit in this whole ecosystem of the world, right? We're different. He calls us evolutionary hunters. But this is one of my favorite quotes from Alex. He said, we are the small percentage of the population that goes into the future, imagines a new reality, and then comes back and insists it becomes real. Like that's what's different about us. Most people are not doing that. Most people wake up every single day and they're bumping into whatever's happening. They're bumping into things and just like they're reactionary based on whatever's happening in the world every single day, right? And that's not us. Like we see visions. Like in the Bible talks about like seeing visions and dreaming dreams. Like it's such a big important thing that what we as entrepreneurs do, right? Every one of us, like when you get into this world, you don't start with this huge vision. You don't know what you're going to do. All you know is that like you see something. It's like I feel like I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do these things, and it's like this weird feeling. I don't know if other people don't feel it or if they just don't act upon it. But the entrepreneurs are the ones who feel that feeling and then they go and they act upon it, right? Another one of my favorite quotes. This is from Ryan Moran. I heard him say this on a podcast one time, and it stuck with me as just such a powerful thing. He said, an entrepreneur is someone who took responsibility for a problem that wasn't their own, right? Most people in the world, like 98% of the world, is not trying to take on responsibility. Like they're trying to like back away from responsibility. That's not my problem. That's not my problem. You see it every single day, over and over and over again. They do not want to step into the responsibility. Where entrepreneurs are different. We're like, there's a problem. I think I can solve that. Who does that? That's not normal, you guys. You understand that, right? We're weird. Everyone else is trying to shirk responsibility, hide from responsibility, hide behind somebody else, trying to blame somebody else, not taking extreme ownership, where we're stepping into things that have nothing to do with us. We're like, I think I can solve this problem. I'm going to do this thing. This is the thing I want to focus on. And then we spend our lives giving and serving, trying to figure this thing out. And it's tough at first, right? This is not something where you step into this calling and you're like, hey, I'm going to take responsibility for that. How much money am I going to make? Well, you're gonna make $0 an hour for a couple years. Like, what? And it's probably gonna cost you money because you gotta invest money and time and energy and team and all these different ideas. So you're gonna lose a bunch of money for a long, long time. But if you stick with it long enough, eventually you'll make a little bit of money and a little bit more money. You'll change a whole bunch of people's lives. And if the more people's lives you can change, the more money you're gonna make. But it's like we have to believe in this mission long enough to get to that point. And most people don't. Most people stop, right? And so think about how interesting that is. I look at, again, everyone in this room right now, but all you guys at home, like, what is it that you guys are looking into? Like, what is the thing, the problem in the world that you're trying to solve? Like, if you look at entrepreneurship, that's all it actually is. It's like, there's a problem, and for some reason, I feel called to try to figure out how to solve that. That's what Ryan is talking about here, right? And that's what's weird and unique about entrepreneurship, is we see these problems and say, I'm gonna figure out how to do this, right? I think about just me in the ClickFunnels world. Like, for a decade, I was building funnels and launching, and then for some reason, I'm like, you know what? There's a problem here. I'm gonna figure out how to solve it, right? And that's when Todd and I sit down and we invested an entire life, or 2.5, 3 years, to build this platform. Every penny we had, everything we had, we're putting in this thing because, like, I believe this is gonna change the world. I believe it's gonna be, and then we launched it, okay? It's interesting, I even look at a decision Todd and I had 4 years ago. It was during the last political election, so it was 4 years ago. I remember it was the night of the election. We were sitting in Georgia at his penthouse, or his lake house, talking about ClickFunnels, and we had two options. Number one is like, we could sell the company, walk away rich as ever, and never have to worry about working again, or we could double down and build something amazing. And like, this is this thing. And it's like, and it's a hard decision. Looking back, sometimes you're like, man, we were crazy. We could have been done forever. But instead, we decided, like, no, this is the problem we're gonna solve. If we wanna get to the spot we're trying to be and change people's lives, we're gonna have to do, like, we have to take this responsibility on ourselves. And that was not an easy thing, right? Like, we literally, in the last 4 or 5 years, the money that's gone into the development process alone for ClickFunnels 2.0, like, it's in the 10s, 20s, $30 million plus just to develop this platform to the spot it is today. And it's insane. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to play with it or use it. Like, it is so good. Like, anyway. But it was like, we're risking so much time and energy, money to do this thing because we saw a problem that we wanted to solve and we decided to jump into it. And the same thing's true for all of you guys. So again, I want you guys to lean into that. Understand you're the hero of the story, and if you're not willing to do that, then nobody will. Okay, number two, after you decide, like, I'm the hero, I'm gonna step into this, the next thing that always happens is resistance. And this is something for last year I've been geeking out on. I study this, I talk about it, I try to figure out how to solve this in my life, but resistance is the thing that is trying to stop you. Okay? Anytime you have a calling, anytime you have something you want to go after, you start pursuing it, and immediately resistance hits. Okay? If you study the hero's journey, which obviously is something I'm obsessed with, in the hero's journey, the hero always hears the call to adventure. They leave on this journey, and as soon as they hear the call to adventure, the first thing happens is what's called the refusal of the call, where the hero's like, I don't want to do that. That sounds awesome, that's gonna be a lot of work, and the refusal of the call. You look at every movie that's ever happened that follows the hero journey's framework, that's what happens. Hero hears the call to adventure, they're about to leave on the journey, and then the refusal of the call, like, I don't want to do that, it's gonna be too hard. Okay? And that's from this big, huge, overarching storyline. But if you learn about resistance and study it, you understand that resistance hits us every single day, every single morning, every time we're gonna wake up. Now, I learned resistance from this guy right here, Steven Pressfield. How many of you guys like Steven Pressfield? If you don't, you're gonna love this guy. Every time I speak, people make a list of like all the books I recommend, but this is one of the best books ever. You should all read it. It's called The War of Art. It's like an hour-long read. You can read it really quickly. But the whole premise of this is like us as artists, as creators, we're going out there to war every single day to go and take our dreams and our visions and make them a reality. We're going out there to do that, and as soon as we go out there, it's a war, right? And the war is not so much with the market or external things. The war is inside ourselves. It's our own brain, okay? And Steven Pressfield, inside his book, he said, resistance is a negative force in the world that keeps you from fulfilling your dreams, okay? And you feel it a lot. For me, it's every single morning. As soon as the alarm clock goes off, guess what I feel? Resistance. Like, I don't want to get up right now. I am so tired. Snooze, right? Resistance. Snooze, resistance. You're like, I gotta go to the gym to work out. Resistance hits you. I don't want to do that. Okay? I gotta go work on the next thing, like whatever the thing might be. In fact, I think my next quote, this is one of my favorite things he said as well in the book. He said, there's a secret that real writers know that wannabe writers don't. And the secret is this. It's not the writing part that's hard. What's hard is sitting down to write. What keeps us from sitting down is resistance. How many authors do we have in the room? Okay, is he right? The hardest part literally is like, I gotta sit down to write. That's the hard, like the resistance, like don't do it, do it tomorrow. It's gonna be hard, like wait, okay? Now maybe you're not an author, but it's the same thing if you're doing anything else in life, right? For me, it's like the hardest part about getting in shape is not lifting the weights, it's getting to the gym, right? The hardest thing about being healthy is not eating the food, it's like deciding to order that food, right? The hardest thing about being successful in entrepreneurship is not doing the actual work, it's in the morning waking up like, tired. Do I really want to do this? I'm not going to go and do that thing, right? Resistance hits over and over and over again every single day as we're going through this process. Now, I had a chance a little while ago to actually interview Steven Pressfield. It was crazy. I just read this book. I was geeking out about it. And then I went to go follow him on Instagram, and I opened it up, and he was following me. Have you ever had that before? And I was like, Stephen Pressfield's falling. I was like freaking out. I was like melting down. And then I messaged him like, hey man, just read your book. Mildly obsessed with you. I keep talking about it with everyone. And he wrote back, he's like, hey, I'm a huge fan too. I was like, this is crazy. Stephen Pressfield knows who I am. And anyway, I was like, can I interview you on my podcast? I actually asked him if he'd speak. I'm like, can you come to Funnelhacking Live and speak? He's like, I don't speak at things. I'm like, can I interview you then? He's like, sure. So we jumped on a podcast and we were talking about resistance. And I asked him some questions specifically because for me, it's like, there are times when resistance feels like too much. How many of you guys ever feel that? We're just like, this is too much. This burden is way too heavy. I can't do this. And then part of me is like, is that a sign that I shouldn't be doing this? And I get in this thing back and forth, and I asked him that question in the interview because I was just like, man, is there times when like resistance is the thing that I should not be doing this because it's just, I'm doing the wrong thing. Maybe that's why it's so hard. I mean, has ever felt that way? It's like, this is so hard, like maybe I'm just on the wrong path. And so I asked him this question, and his response was amazing. So I'm gonna watch this really quick, what he said.
Imagine a tree in the middle of a sunny meadow. The minute the tree appears, a shadow appears. And the shadow is equal to the tree, right? If it's a big tree, it's a big shadow. So in the terms of resistance, the tree is the dream that you have, the book you want to write, the venture you want to do, whatever. And resistance is the shadow. So there would not, what I want to say is resistance always comes second. There would be no resistance if there wasn't a dream, if there wasn't a calling that was inside you. So the good news of that is when you're feeling big resistance, that big shadow, that shows that there's a big tree there or something. There's a big dreams, because resistance always comes like Newton's third law of motion, equal and opposite reaction. It's a reaction to an aspiration, to a book you want to write or a movie you want, whatever it is. So don't be freaked out, I would say to anybody, by that dark cloud. That dark shadow is an indication that the dream is for real and it's big.
All right. You guys getting that? The bigger the dream, the bigger the resistance. So if you're feeling that resistance, like this is so hard, this is too much, I can't handle this, like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like understanding it's because the calling God's given you is big, right? And because it's big, because it's hard, doesn't mean you should stop, right? Like that's a sign that you should be pursuing forward, you should be doing the things. Now resistance is interesting because the goal of resistance is to create what Stephen Pressfield calls the unlived life, right? The unlived life, this is the athlete who doesn't compete, it's the writer who doesn't write, the painter who doesn't paint, the entrepreneur who's never actually started a business. Like that's the goal, is to give you guys to the spot where it's like, I don't want to actually live this life, right? And you look at resistance, like the way it shows up is different for everybody, but there's a couple things. The first lie of resistance is called procrastination. Well, procrastination is interesting. It's not that like, oh, I'm not gonna do that thing, I'm not gonna follow that dream. It's like, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, right? That's one of the sneakiest things that resistance does, because it can give you that thing where you're just like, you're pacified, you're like, oh, cool, this is not that big a deal, I can just do it tomorrow. Mañana will be great, right? So the first lie of resistance is always procrastination. So anytime you're in a spot and you're like, oh, this seems so heavy, I can just do it tomorrow. I'm just gonna go to a movie real quick. I'm just gonna do whatever that thing is. Like that is resistance hitting you in the face, trying to push off the thing you're actually called to do just a little bit longer. But all of us know that like today becomes tomorrow, then mañana is the next day's mañana, and it keeps moving, and like for most people, like the lie of procrastination what keeps most people from actually having success. So it's understanding like do not allow this first lie to happen, okay, procrastination. Next lie is what's called the shadow calling. And this is interesting, when Stephen Pressfield was talking about this with me, he said, if you look at a lot of people in life who aren't, like they're not achieving the dreams they want, they're not actually following their calling, typically they have what's called a shadow calling, which is, for him, it was interesting because like he always wanted to write books and movies and screenplays, right? In fact, have you guys ever seen Bagger Vance? Bagger Vance was like his most famous book that became a movie and all sorts of stuff like that. But he spent, I think it was like 20 or 30 years before he wrote his very first actual book or screenplay that became something big. And he said during that time, he's like, I was a writer and I was writing, but I was not writing my work. He's like, I was doing copywriting. He's like, I hate advertising. I was writing copy for the people. He's like, that's like what the shadow calling is. You're almost doing what you're supposed to do, but it's like, it's a version of it that there's no risk, right? And he said for him as a copywriter, he's like, I was writing every single day for other people, writing copy, writing advertising, things like that. I was writing like I wanted to be, but wasn't doing I wasn't leaning into my thing. And so many times, like we have the calling we're supposed to do, but we settle for a shadow calling instead because it's easier, there's no risk. If I mess up here, it's a client work, doesn't really matter. Versus like, if I mess up, this is my life, this is my mission, right? And so resistance is gonna try to get you to default to something that doesn't actually put you into your true calling. It's kind of interesting. Okay, and then lie number 3 is it tries to give you pleasure without fulfillment. How can it give you the reward without the work? Okay? And this is the world today. The world today is always trying to give us cheap versions of the thing that we're seeking, right? If you think about any part in life, like I think the thing that human beings crave the most is love and connection, right? It's the biggest thing we have, right? And for us to go work for love and connection, it's hard. Like putting yourself out there, putting your heart out there for somebody, like it's scary, it's hard, there's all this fear and anxiety, right? And so, but if you do it, like that's fulfillment. But then the resistance, like how can I give them the reward without the actual work? So it takes something beautiful like love, and it's like, there's another version of it that's dirty, that's nasty, it's not good, and it's pornography. And you can get that. You can get the same feelings, right? You can get the reward without the actual work. And it's true in anything in life, right? Anything you want to accomplish in life, there's always like different versions, right? There's the version where it's like you can go out there and be an entrepreneur, go crazy and like work your butt off, or you can just watch it on TV. You can listen to more podcasts about other people doing it. You can watch what's happening over here, and you kind of experience a little bit through that. You can get the reward without the actual work, okay? But if you want true fulfillment, it's like it's turning off resistance, not doing the easy version and going for the harder version, okay? True fulfillment always comes through the harder option, okay? So anytime there's something where you're like, and I think, especially with kids, I think about this all the time, like with their phones, right? You can get dopamine hits every 5 seconds just by going like this, right? So you gotten pleasure, but not fulfillment, right? You're getting the reward without the actual work versus that going out there and creating and doing and building and becoming something different, all right? Okay. This is one of my favorite quotes from C.S. Lewis, talking about this fact that right now, every single day, there's us trying to pursue our goals and our dreams, and there's resistance fighting against us. We're going back and forth and back and forth. And C.S. Lewis said, our leisure, even our play, is a matter of serious concern. That's because there's no neutral ground in the universe. Every square inch, every split second is claimed by God and counterclaimed by Satan. So you have these things like you with your calling and then resistance hitting you. Like every single second of the day, like one of those things is going to claim that time. And so we're in this battle constantly every single time. Like, am I going to give in resistance or am I going to focus on my calling? Resistance or my calling, right? And it's hard. What I started doing is I started actually tracking this. In fact, in Secrets of Success, I had everybody inside the membership site start doing this. I said, okay, I want you guys to start tracking your calling. So you start tracking resistance. Like everyone got these notepads and they wake up in the morning, like every time resistance hits you, write it down. And at first you're like, wow, alarm clock went off, resistance hit. I need to go work out, resistance hit. I'm trying to pick what I'm gonna eat today, resistance. And it's like, you start seeing, it's like, man, resistance hits me every single time I have a choice. It's not a one-time thing like in the hero's journey where you have this one time where you refuse the call and then after that you're good to go. It's like every single step of the way, day after day, hour after hour, resistance is hitting over and over and over and over again. And so for us, it's like we have to get good at beating resistance to be able to actually fulfill our calling. And it's a constant every single day battle, okay? All right, so that's the second thing we'll talk about was resistance. Third thing we'll talk about is your reason for being. What does this actually mean? I know we talk a lot about like our purpose, like what's our purpose? Like why am I here in this world? Why am I doing this thing? Why am I in this room? Why am I live watching a whole bunch of speakers from around the world? Like what is your reason for being? And I remember a couple years ago, Inner Circle, we had one of our members go on stage and he shared this cool framework that I'd never heard about before. And I'm sure some of you guys have heard about this, but it was brand new to me at the time. And ever since then, it's been this like really, really powerful thing to help me understand, like, what is my reason? What's my reason for being? Okay? And so I'm gonna walk you through this process. So if you look at this, there are a couple different quadrants, right? First thing is thinking about is like, what is the thing that you love the most? Right? We all have something we love or a couple things we love, right? So that's the first thing. What do you love? Next thing to think about is, what are you really, really good at? Here's what I love. Here's what I'm really, really good at. Now the cross section between, number 3 is what does the world actually need? And number 4 is what can you get paid for? So these 4 different quadrants. Now if you look at this, you look at the intersection. So if you the intersection between what you're really good at and what you love, if you look at the intersection between those two things, this right here is called our passion. This is my passion. I'm so passionate about this. This is like what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is our passion, right? Between what you love and what you're good at. Okay, so that's the first thing to think about. Okay, now the cross section between what you love and what the world needs, cross section right there, this is called your mission. Okay, this is my mission. So I gotta get out of the world. This is what I love. This is what the world needs. This is my mission to change the world, right? Number 3, the cross section between what you're good at and what you get paid for. This is called your profession or your job. And the cross section between what the world needs and what you can get paid for, this is called your vocation. Okay, so if you look at this whole thing as a whole, there's these 4 different quadrants, and inside the intersections, there's passion, mission, profession, and vocation. Now, if you take all these, there's one spot in the middle where all 4 of these things actually cross-sect, okay? And that thing right there, in the Japanese culture, they call this Ikigai. I had to learn how to say that. You ever heard that word before? Ikigai. I kept calling it Ikigai on a video one time, and people made fun of me. It's called Ikigai. Hopefully I said that right. Did I get that right? Yes, Ben told me. Okay, Ben's the one coaching me through it. It's called Ikigai. And your Ikigai in Japanese means your reason for being. This is your reason for being. It's the cross-section between all these things. It's not just one thing or the other. It's like, what do you love? What are you good at? What can you get paid for? And what does the world need? And when you can find that cross-section between all of those, like that is your reason for being. That is the thing. It's why you're here on this earth. It's why you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing. Okay? And so for me, when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, let me look at my life. I was like, I love this. I'm good at that, but I can't really get paid for it. Right? Like wrestling. I love wrestling. I'm good at wrestling. My favorite thing in the entire world. If I could, like, right now, if it's like, hey, Russell, when you speak Funnelhacking Live, there's a wrestling tournament over here, you can go wrestling, I would go to wrestle. Like, my favorite thing in the world, right? I love it. I'm good at it, right? It's my passion. But guess what? The world doesn't need it. I can't get paid for it. Like, it's a passion, but that's it, right? So it's not my reason for being. And I look at what do I love? What does the world need? A lot of things like that as well, right? The world loves this. They need this. Right? That's my mission. And then you keep looking at different cross-sections, but as soon as you find all of those things in the middle, like that middle section right now, that is your reason for being. So I want you guys looking at that lens as the thing that you're pursuing right now inside your business, right? Is the thing you are pursuing, the thing you're trying to create, the dream you're trying to fulfill, is it fit in the cross-section? Is it your Ikigai? If it is, then you know you're on the right spot. If you're only hitting 2 of the things or 3 of the things, it's like, man, I love this thing, I'm good at it, the world needs it, but I'm not gonna make any money with it. It's like, man, it's hard to do, right? Or I can make money with this, I'm good at it, the world needs it, but I hate this. I never want to do this again, right? You're not gonna be happy, you're not gonna be fulfilled. When you can figure out exactly what your reason for being is, then we have something we can work with, okay? And I wish we had time, we could do a workshop and everyone could have notebooks and like spend time figuring that out. But I'd recommend, especially as at home, everyone like spend some time thinking through this. Like, what is your reason for being? What does that look like? Because if you can figure that out and you can identify it and really understand it, it's gonna make the calling that you're trying to do, that you're trying to pursue, actually something you can grow and you can pursue and you can make a lot of money with it, okay? And you can change the world. All right? And then after you figure out your reason for being, your Ikigai, I finally got that word now. I said it wrong every single day for the last 2 weeks prepping for this. Ikigai, we got it. When you have that, then you can take that reason for being, plug it into a funnel, and that's how you grow, how you blow up the thing you're trying to do. Okay? It's hard to blow up the thing you're trying to do without all those things cross-sectioning. I've got a friend recently who came to me. They've got something that they're good at, that they love, that the world needs, but they can't get paid for it. And they came to me like, hey, Russell, how do we fundraise for this? How do we build a funnel for this? And I'm like, you can't get paid for that. It's not something people pay money for. Like, as much as I wish, like, that's like the cross-section is not there. It's gonna be very, very difficult, very hard to turn this into something you can grow and you can scale. I was like, you can figure out all 4 of those things, then it becomes really, really easy. So that is your purpose, your reason for being. Okay, secret number 4 now. Now I wanna get into like the how do you make money side of this, right? So next thing is called the art of money getting. Now, I titled this section The Art of Money Getting for a couple reasons. Number 1, P.T. Barnum, back in the day, wrote a book called The Art of Money Getting, which is one of the coolest book titles ever. And I thought he invented that. And then, as you guys know, I buy a lot of old books. I kind of nerd out. And I found a book written in like 1820 called The Art of Money Getting that was written like 40, 50 years before P.T. Barnum wrote his. So P.T. Barnum literally saw that title, I think, funnel hacked it, and then copied it for his book. So The Art of Money Getting, that was kind of a cool concept. That's where I got it from. So how do we actually make money? So after we know this is our reason for being, this is the thing we're supposed to do, the next step is we have to create an offer to give to the people. If we don't create an offer, like we can't, like nothing else starts until there's an offer actually made to the audience, right? That's how things start happening. That's how motion starts happening in the marketplace in the world. And I want to share some stories because a lot of times, I think less so in the funnel hacker community, but the world as a whole, when they hear about offers, they hear about selling stuff, like it's this icky, weird thing that's hard, right? But I want you to understand that offers are the way that you change somebody's life. And I'm not just saying that for me, it's like I make offers, I change people's lives. I want to look at it from the other side, like because other people were willing to make offers, it changed my life. And up here on this slide, these are my first 2 mentors. The left-hand side is Mark Joyner, and the right-hand side is Dan Kennedy. These are my first 2 big mentors when I got into this world. And it's interesting because my wife and I just got married. We got married, we lived in this little duplex for the first year of our life, and I remember during that time, my dad bought me the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I was like, this is amazing. And so immediately I'm like, we need to go buy a house. And so we went and bought it. We bought our own duplex, we moved into it, and we're there, and I'm trying to figure out how to make money in real estate, and I couldn't figure it out. The house we bought anyway, long story, but we had a duplex, and we couldn't get a renter in there, and we were losing money every single month, and we finally got a renter, and they were horrible. They were like smoking in the basement and lying about it. It was so bad. I was like, I hate real estate. Where are my real estate gurus in here, by the way? Like, it's the worst business. Just kidding, I love it. It's great. No, but for me, I was like, I don't like this. This is really, really hard for me. And I was like, I cannot figure this out. This guy is smoking in our house. My wife's upset. Like, everything's falling apart. I don't think you're supposed to live with your renters typically. That's probably the biggest issue. Anyway, that's probably step 1 of your course. Like, don't live in the house that you're renting. Yeah, I didn't learn that one. Anyway, so I was like, I want to figure out the internet thing. I started jumping online. And I remember I was For 18 months, I was studying, I was learning, I was reading, I was listening. We didn't have podcasts back then, but I was buying CDs and listening to the audios and all sorts of stuff. And I wasn't willing to invest, I wasn't willing to buy anything. And I was in this like circular motion where I wasn't progressing. I was trying to figure out how to like have success, but I was kind of in this motion. I remember about that time, there was this guy, and I didn't know who he was at the time, but all of a sudden like 50 people sent emails the same day talking about this guy named Mark Joyner. And Mark Joyner, he's retiring from the internet and all this stuff. And I was like, who's Mark Joyner? Anyone here remember Mark Joyner's farewell package? Anyone here been around that long? 2 of you. This is amazing. I love it. Anyway, so I was a college kid. I'm getting these emails from Mark Joyner. I go to the page. I remember reading this long, like 4,500 page sales letter about this thing called the farewell package. It's like, I'm retiring from internet marketing. I'm putting everything I know into this package, plus all my source code, plus everything. And for $1,000, you can get it. Now, you have to understand at the time, $1,000 that could be $1 billion for like that's how much money it was. $1,000 was for us at the time. I didn't have a job. My wife was working, supporting us. We did not have $1,000. We had no disposable income. Like we were just gotten married. Like it was the worst possible time. And I remember watching this campaign, and Mark was selling these things, and everyone was buying it. They were talking about how great it was, and like this huge thing. And I remember like I wanted to buy it, but I couldn't afford it. I wanted to buy it, I couldn't afford it. I was so stressed out because I figured like this is the thing that would change my life. I could just afford this thing, but I can't afford it. And I watched this campaign for like 3 or 4 months as everyone's selling it. It got to the point where like they started selling out. They were going to close it down. You know, they had like the urgency and scarcity happening. And it was like 2 or 3 days before like they were closing the offer down forever. And I was just like, this is the thing I need. And I remember this guy named Mike Chen was one of the affiliates. He launched this audio you could buy for $20 or something that talked about the farewell package. I bought this audio. It was like 6 hours. It was a 6-hour sales pitch basically of Mike Chen and Mark Joyner talking about this farewell package. So I go and I listen to this 6-hour thing. All night I'm listening to it, knowing that they're about to close card. I'm going to miss out on everything. And I was like, I need this offer. I want this offer so bad. And I remember the next morning, I didn't sleep the whole night. I woke up next morning laying there. Colette woke up next to me, and I was like, I feel like I need to buy Mark Joyner's farewell package. She's like, how much does it cost? I'm like, it's $1,000. She's like, whoa. I'm like, I know. We don't have $1,000. And she's like, do you think this is the thing that'll help you? I was like, I really do. I think it is. Like, she's like, okay, I trust you then. I'm like, what? Are you serious? She's like, yeah. I'm like, cool. We still have $1,000. I'm like, oh, okay, pick up your phone, call the bank. So we call the bank, like, hey, can we extend our credit limit to $1,000? I think we had like a $500 a month credit card, whatever. Like, can we bump it to $1,500? They said yes. I had more credit. I bought the farewell package. It showed up at my house like a week later, and it was the first time I had actually invested in myself to buy something. And I remember going through like listen to every single CD 5 or 6 times. I looked at the source code. I got in the community. I went all in, like played full out, went through the whole entire process. And because Mark Joyner made an offer, he put it out in their world, and I stretched to buy this thing I couldn't afford. I bought it. It literally changed my life forever. In fact, here's some pictures. This is like how poor we were. This is me and Colette cutting up our credit cards after we got married because we didn't have any money. But because I made that decision to step into the unknown, like that offer changed my life forever. Okay? Offers are how you change somebody's life forever. You have to be creating offers. Okay? The next time I took an offer, a couple years later, I'd been following Mark Joyner. I launched an internet business, started making a little bit of money, not a lot at this point. I think at the time I was probably making $25,000 to $30,000 a year. I was still going to college, I was still going to school at the time, but it was real money. It was insane. And all of a sudden I heard about this guy, Dan Kennedy. And everyone kept talking about Dan Kennedy. Like, he's the guy. Like, if you want to learn marketing, Dan Kennedy's the greatest. And so I remember I got a copy on eBay of, it was this course called the $272,000 Platinum Meeting or something from Dan Kennedy. And it was basically a mastermind room, and they recorded them all talking about stuff. So I remember I bought it, I was listening to it, and in the CD set, it was like all the gurus I'd like seen online, like Ron LeGrand, and like all the gurus from all the different spaces were all in this room with Dan Kennedy, and Dan Kennedy's doing this mastermind, and they're all sharing ideas. And I was like, all the people that I want to, like, that I see out there doing the big things, they're all in this room. Dan Kennedy's in charge of it. They're all in there listening to him, learning from him. Like, I need to get in that room. I got to be in the room where it happens. Like, how do I get into that room? So I called, at the time it was called GKIC. I called GKIC up. I'm like, hey, I want to join the mastermind group. Like, sorry, it's sold out. We have a waiting list for like 3 years, but we'll put your name on the waiting list. I'm like, no, I have to be in this group. Like, no, we don't have room in the waiting list. And I'm like, I need to be in this group. And I kept messaging them and calling them. If you know Dan Kennedy, they don't use email, so I had to like fax them. So I'm faxing all these things. I'm the annoying customer who's like, relentlessly is like, won't take no for an answer, right? I keep messaging him, and finally after, 3 or 4 months of me annoying them, I get a message back like, fine, you can join, here's the link. And they sent me the link, and I went to the page, and it was like $25,000 to join. I was like, what? Never asked the price. Didn't know what, I was like, $25,000? Like, I've made $25,000 total in my entire life up to this point, and now you and I already spent that. I didn't have that money. And I was like, huh. But at the same time, I talked to Big Game, to Dan Kennedy and his team. I was like, I can't not do this now. So I was like, I'm in. And so I told them I'm in. I sent them some money that we didn't really have. And then a week later, I'm in a plane flying to Baltimore, Maryland, because I didn't know why, but Baltimore is apparently where this is the party's happening. Fly to Baltimore, Maryland. I get in this room. It's a little hotel room. There's 18 people in the room, and some guy with white hair who I'd never seen before. I get in there. I'm looking around, and I told everybody about it. I'm going to go meet Dan Kennedy. We're going to hang out. He's going to blow my business up. I get in there, and there's no Dan Kennedy in the room. I'm like, where's Dan Kennedy at? And then like everyone sits down, and this old guy with white hair starts talking. I'm like, who's that guy? And they're like, that's Bill Glazer. I'm like, who's Bill Glazer? It's like, that's Dan Kennedy's business partner. I'm like, where's Dan Kennedy? And like, he doesn't come to these. I'm like, oh crap. I just spent every penny I have to meet Dan Kennedy, and he doesn't come to these. What do I do now? And I was so freaked out. I was so scared. I'm sitting in this room, and all of a sudden, I remember the very first, and then it was weird, because if you haven't been in a mastermind before, it was the first time I've ever been there, right? Like, Bill's like, all right, you're up first. The first guy gets up in this little room, and he like talked about his business for like an hour, shared some ideas, and he sat down. Next guy gets up and talks, and I'm like, what did I sign up for? Like, this is the weirdest thing. They're not teaching me anything. They're not showing, like, everyone's just talking about their business. It was the weirdest thing. And I remember after 5 or 6 hours of it, I was like, oh my gosh, I get it. And I started understanding this and how it worked in this mastermind group. And I remember taking notes on every single speaker that went through. And I remember, like, because one guy, he had built a huge call center. So he had a big call center. So I'm like, taking notes, like, build a call center, hire sales guys, done. And then someone else was doing these live events. Like, they run these events, and this is how it works. So I'm like, okay. So I wrote down notes on how to do the live events. And then the next guy got up, and they were doing phone sales. I'm like, cool, this is awesome. So I went through every single speaker, 18 other people, so 17 plus me, 18 people in the group, 17 other people took notes of every single thing they did. We left, I flew back home, and I was like, I'm gonna implement everything I learned because I paid more money than I have to be in this group. And I went through, and literally in the next like 4 or 5 months before our next meeting, we launched a call center. We did a live event. We did direct mail. I learned direct mail. I did a direct mail campaign. We did radio ads. Like, I did everything I learned in that event. I came back 6 months later to show everybody. I'm like, hey, here's what I did. I went through every single thing. And they all looked at me in the room. They're like, you did everything? I'm like, yeah, isn't that how it works? They're like, no. People usually take one idea and they try to implement it. No one's ever done everything. I was like, oh. No, nobody told me. I was like, okay, that's good to know. But that's how I am. I'm just like, I'm gonna go do it, right? But because I invested more money than I had in Dan Kennedy, in that offer, it changed my life forever. I was in that mastermind group for 6 years. It took me from having a business doing $25,000 a year to over 8 figures a year in the time I was in that program, because I was in a group of people over and over and over again, okay? Because Dan Kennedy made an offer, it changed my life. And we guys understand, like, the way you take your mission, your reason for being, and turn it into something amazing, you have to get good at creating offers and putting them out there. Okay, in every marketplace, the person who's willing to make the most offers wins. Okay, how many of you guys noticed I make a lot of offers? Okay, who thinks I make the most offers out of anybody in this marketplace? Yeah, that's how we're winning. That's the game. Some of you guys are sitting there for 3, 4, 5 years waiting to make an offer. It's gotta be perfect, I gotta focus on it, and they're like waiting, and you're like, no, just put an offer out there. If nobody buys it, nobody knows. Like, put another one. Keep doing it. Okay? I told you guys yesterday, I'm like, we've been launching a lot of funnels in the last year, a lot of offers I put out there, because I don't know, I'm looking for my next one funnel. Wait, what's my next funnel that's gonna take me to the next level? I don't know what it is, but I can't just wait in the laboratory of Russell trying to build something. Hopefully someday I'll finally figure out the perfect offer and put it out there. If I do that, I'm gonna wait 5, 6, 7 years, and it's never gonna be done, right? It's putting out offers. The person in any marketplace who makes the most offers is the person who wins, okay? If I ask you guys, how many offers did you make this month? How many offers did you make this week? Like, if it's not more than one, like, what are you waiting for? Put out more offers. See what the marketplace wants. The only way to do that is by putting out offers. The person in every marketplace who wins is the person who's putting out the most offers, okay? And last I want to talk about offers. I learned this also from Myron. Myron said, you don't buy things with money, you buy them with offers. And then this is how it worked. Myron told me one day, he called me up, he's like, hey man, this is the deal. I don't fly commercial anymore, I only fly private. I was like, that's gonna be hard to maintain long term. He's like, no. I'm like, did you buy a plane? He's like, no. He's like, I only fly private from now on. I was like, how do you, like, I fly private once in a while, it's expensive. He's like, yeah, I just buy it with offers. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, I decided I'm never gonna fly commercial again. I'm only gonna fly private. So if I wanna go somewhere, he's like, I make an offer to my audience, like, hey, who wants to come on my plane with me and fly for 5 hours to Russell's event? And it's gonna be whatever, $50,000. He's like, I get 3 people, it covers the gas, the flights, hotels, and the offer's paid for the plane. I was like, that's so smart. Myron's a genius, right? So we get better at making offers. Like, you don't have to buy things with money, you buy things with offers. I can't remember if I shared this in my next slide or not. I don't. Anyway, I'll share this later on with you guys, but I just look at the things in my life that I want. Like, ever since then, I start looking at things differently. Like, okay, what's the offers I need to create if I want to invest in this thing, if I want to buy this thing? It's not like how much cash do I have. It's like, what are the offers I need to put out there to be able to get people in my world, okay? So I want to talk a little about offers. Offers, we can do like a 5-day event just on offers. I want to go over the core things I think are the most important, okay? So whenever you create an offer, these are there's 4 core things I think about when I'm creating an offer. And if you create the offer the right way, this is how you get offers to get people to give you money and get them really excited, okay? So the first thing to think about when you are creating any kind of offer to the marketplace, right? An offer, the very first thing is any offer I make, the thing you have to understand is when you're making an offer to somebody, the thing that you are actually selling them is a result. This is where most people mess up. They think they're selling a product. You are not selling a product. You are not selling a service. You are always selling a result. Okay, so that's the first thing you understand. So what is the result that you're actually selling somebody, right? You think about this. So here's the result. So here's you up top of a mountain. This is the result that you've gotten in the past. And what you are doing is you are coming down the mountain to figure out who are the people down here who want to have this result, and that's what you're selling, okay? Now, typically for most of us, our dream customer, the person we were trying to sell, is basically, it's us 5 years ago, right? So 5 years ago, before you ever achieve this result, and the result could be anything, right? This result could be how I lost weight, how I made money, how I invest in the stock markets, how I biohack, whatever your thing is, right? Everyone's got this result. So the first thing is like, what's the result that you are selling? Okay, and the question is like, how did you figure out that result? Because 5 years ago, you probably didn't have that result, right? And your dream customer doesn't have it. If you look at the way that most people's journeys work, right? If you think about before you ever figured out this result, you're probably down here just like anyone else. You're like, hey, I want to lose weight. I want to go and get 6-pack abs. I want to get whatever, right? Or I want to figure out how to make money on the internet. Or I want to sell stocks or whatever the result is you wanted, right? You probably started on this journey. You're okay, how's it going to go? And you started going on this journey to try to get that result. And you went this way and then it messed up and it didn't work, right? So you went back to go, and you started again. You went on this journey again, trying to get the result, and you messed up over here. Oh, didn't make it again. And you started again, you went on this journey, and then you messed up again, and you try this over and over and over again, okay? That's what happens in most markets. When someone comes to you initially, the reality is, for most people, the first time they come to you is not the first time they've tried to get this result. They've been trying for a long, long time. In fact, when we bought Lady Boss from Caitlin Poland, I remember having this conversation with her, and she said, you have to understand, Russell, that the average woman in America goes on 8 diets a year. 8. The result's the same. They all want the exact same thing, right? They start a diet, they tried keto diet, it didn't work. I tried paleo, boom. I tried Atkins, I tried, whatever. They keep trying thing after thing after thing, right? 8 diets a year. Same thing true is whatever business you're in, right? Someone comes into my world, this isn't the first time like, I can make money. That's not a novel idea, right? They've been trying a lot of different ways. They tried on eBay, they tried on Amazon, they tried flipping stocks, they tried this, they're trying real estate, they're trying a million different ways to get the result, right? They're coming to my world and I'm like, look, I tried real estate, that was hard. I tried, and all these things didn't work. But then what happens is eventually you guys on your journey of trying these different things, eventually you made it all the way up here and you got to the top and you got the result. And when you got the result, the thing that you got that's the most valuable of anything is that you got a map, okay? You have a map that shows how to get from here to here. So when you come back to your dream customer who was you 5 years ago, the biggest thing you're saying is like, look, I've got a map. The result you're looking for, I know exactly how to get there. I've done it. I tried this, I tried this, I tried this. And tomorrow we're going to go deep into selling, which is my favorite day tomorrow. And so we're going to talk about how to use this in the sales presentation. But for you guys to understand, when you're creating an offer, the very first thing you are giving people is a map to result. That's it. If you look at what is the map is basically a recipe. Here's the steps to go to get this result, right? Step number 1, you do this. Step number 2, you do this. Step number 3, you do this. Step number 4, you do this. Step number 5, you do this. And that is the map that gets you from where you are today to the result you want. Okay? How many of you guys thinking about the product, the business, the thing that you're in? How many of you guys know, like, okay, this is my map. My map, like for me, it's like my map is I help people to grow a company using sales funnels. This is the map I have. Right? That's my map. What do you guys all know what your maps are, hopefully? You all have a map, right? And a map is basically a step-by-step process or a recipe of how to get the result. Okay? So that's the very first step in creating any good offer is understanding. Boom. Number 1 is you're creating a framework. And your framework is just a map to the result, and it's a step-by-step recipe of how they go and get that result. Okay? If you look at any offer I create, this is the very first thing I always do. What's the result I'm promising people? What is the map that I've created? What's the step-by-step framework? And that's the very first part of an offer. Okay, tomorrow we're gonna talk about offer stack size and things like that when we get into selling. And you notice, every single time I start with the offer. The very first thing, the very first component of the offer is always the map to get them the result that we promise. Okay, step number 1. All right, step number 2 now, when I'm creating an offer, jump over here, is how we position the offer. This is probably, of all the things I learned from Dan Kennedy, probably the most important. People miss this all the time. We're putting together a product with him right now called Selling Opportunity to help people understand this because for most people in the marketplace, they position their products wrong. And this is a positioning problem, not how you create the actual product. So this is a messaging thing, which is really simple. It means you can change something without having to change your entire business. Okay, it's how you structure, how you reframe things. So what you want to do when you are framing something, the two different versions, one is called an improvement offer, and one's called a new opportunity. Now, improvement offers are the worst type of offers because for me to convince somebody that let me explain this better. Improvement offers anything that has an ER in it. So this product, if you buy it, it's gonna help you have success faster, better. Like anytime there's an ER, it's usually an improvement offer, right? And the problem with improvement is me coming back saying, okay, look, you've been trying this paleo diet for a long time and it hasn't worked for you. I'm gonna show you a better way to do paleo. The problem is that in the customer's mindset, they're like, I tried paleo and it failed. Like, I'm gonna show you a better way to fail. Like that's literally what you're doing. You're coming back and you're making an improvement offer. Like it's confusing to the end customer, right? And so instead we position it as a new opportunity, right? Like when I launched ClickFunnels, I think about this, there's like, we were helping people get a result, right? How to grow their company. And I could have come back and said, okay, we are a website building platform, but we do it a little bit better. We do it different. We do it a little, like, if I would have positioned it as a website building platform, we would not have had success, right? People, I already have a website building platform. Oh, I already have a way to do that, right? Or if I would have positioned ourselves as an email autoresponder company. Yeah, we have email autoresponders. I didn't position it that way, right? Those are all improvement offers. Like, we do this better than those. We do it better than, like, you don't want to position something that's better. You want to position yourself as a new opportunity. Okay? So what I'm saying is in this path, right? If somebody's coming on this path as a customer and they're trying to get this result, I'm not saying, oh yeah, you're already in this right. In fact, sometimes it's called a map. Sometimes in expert secrets we call it a vehicle. So imagine right here, this is the vehicle that they're in, right? They're in the keto vehicle to try to lose weight, and they're trying to go up here to get the result to lose weight, right? So they're in the keto vehicle. If I come back and say, you're in the keto vehicle, I'm gonna show you guys a way to do it better, it doesn't convert nearly as well as saying, look, keto sucks. This is the most painful diet. It's horrible. You've already experienced it. You know it's no good. Don't want to do that. I'm going to give you guys something completely new you've never heard of. And boom, I introduced a new opportunity. Okay? I'm always positioning against everything else. I'm never saying this is the better way to do the thing you're trying to do. Like that's one of the key things. It's a nuance that means everything. It'll change your conversions from 2 to 3% conversion on an offer to 18, 20% conversion on an offer. Okay? Because people don't want to buy improvement. That's not true. Most people don't want to buy improvement. Usually people at the highest echelon of your funnel, like the back of your funnel, like for example, everyone in this room right here, inner circle, like you guys are my improvement buyers. You guys are all trying to become better and faster and scale quicker. So you guys are my improvement offers. But the people that buy improvement are usually the bottom of your value ladder, the bottom of your funnel, right? The mass funnel, the masses we're trying to get when we bring a lot of people into our funnel, they're looking for something new. They've tried this, they've tried those other things, and they are looking for a new way to have success, to get the result. And so when you position it as a new opportunity, as opposed to improvement, that's when you get the most amount of people into your funnels so you can change their life, okay? So step number 1 in the process, again, is understanding that you are selling a framework. Number 2 is positioning as a new opportunity, okay? Third thing then is that we have this new opportunity that we are positioning. We have to figure out how to increase the value as high as possible. Now, there's a concept where basically, there's 2 ways to make your product the cheapest in the world, right? One is to have the lowest price, and the other is to increase the value. And both ways makes the product feel cheap. Now, what most people do is that they try to decrease price. They come into any kind of, in fact, you see this mostly like, if someone's selling a commodity, you see this a lot, right? Where, let's say it's an iPhone, like someone's selling an iPhone, right? iPhones cost $800, like it's a commodity, right? And the only way to beat, like, if you go to Best Buy or you go to Target or whatever, they're all selling the same phone, right? So it doesn't really matter. Everyone's got the same price. But if someone also Best Buy's like, oh, it's $800 everywhere else, but also for $700, right? Oh, that seems cheaper. So the people go buy the $700 one, right? And then it comes back like, oh, there's $700 there. We're selling for $600. And then it gets cheaper. And so you start decreasing the price to make it feel cheaper, right? But eventually you lose all the margin. Okay? And so for most people outside the funnel hacker community, what most people do is they try to decrease value to win in the game. And by decreasing the price, it's the worst way to build a business because you lose all your margin. Now, Dan Kennedy, who I showed you guys earlier, Dan taught me something that changed my life. He said, there's no strategic value in being the second lowest price leader in town. He's like, if you're the lowest price leader, like if you're Walmart, cool, there's a strategic advantage of being the lowest price leader, but there's zero strategic advantage of being the second lowest price leader. So you can't be the lowest price leader. He said, then you want to be the most expensive. Okay, so there's a huge strategic advantage of being the most expensive because you can deliver, you can fulfill more. So when we're creating offers, I'm not trying to figure out how to make this as cheap as possible. Instead, I'm saying, how can I increase the value? What else can I add? What can I do to make this offer even better? Okay? So for me, when I'm thinking about an offer, again, I'm always coming back to this. This is the result, right? So the first thing that I'm selling somebody traditionally in my offer stack, the very first thing, like I said, is the map, right? Now, I'm gonna click the next phase because this is gonna set up my last one, okay? Number 4 is that you're gonna build a complete offer stack, and you're gonna note that each solution creates a new problem. So let me explain what that means. So I just gave somebody a map. I said, okay, here's where you are right now. This is the result you want. I'm gonna show you how to do this, okay? So for me, it's like, let's just say it's in the ClickFunnels world, right? You need a funnel to grow your company. So I'm gonna give you guys a map. Here's the map to build a funnel. So as soon as I give them the map, it solves the problem, right? Cool, I know exactly how to build a funnel right now, right? So I solve that problem for them, but every time I create a solution, every time I give someone a solution, it creates a new problem. So I give somebody a map, here's how you build a funnel for your business. Like, sweet, I know exactly how to build a funnel for my business. Oh wait, I need software to actually build a funnel, right? So then the next part of my offer then is like, okay, cool. Now here's the next thing you need to be able to actually fulfill on it, okay? And then after they have that, it's like, cool, I know how to build a funnel, I have the software to build a funnel, but then how do I write the copy for the page? Now they didn't know they had a problem with copy until they've gotten through this thing, right? So next step is like, here, now you need copy. And then number 4 is like, okay, I have copy, what's the next thing? Now I need traffic, right? So every time I introduce something into the offer, it solves the problem, but then it creates a new problem. Solves the problem, creates a new problem. Okay, if I come back to this analogy of the hiker hiking the thing, right? I give them the map to the top of the mountain, and it's like, cool, I'm gonna go hike the mountain. It's like, wait, you're about to hike Mount Everest. If you just hike that, you're gonna die. You're gonna need some equipment and some gear. It's like, oh, I didn't even know I needed gear, cool. So by giving me a map to hike Mount Everest, now I need gear to be able to I need gear, I need a guide, I need water, I need food, I need supplies. So I'll sort of open up all these other things I need. So when I'm creating an offer, my goal though, is to look at what all the things the customer actually needs. I wanna create a complete offer stack where it gives them everything they need to actually be successful to get the result they're looking for. I see people all the time where they come back and their offer is coming back and they're like, hey, you're gonna buy this thing right now and we're gonna give you guys the map to go and do it. And then that's all they give them, and then the person gets the map, they try to do it, they fail, and then they leave and they never come back. It's like when I'm creating an offer, I want the offer to feel complete. So it's like, here's all the things you actually need to go and get the result. So you got the map, you got the Sherpa, you got the walking stick, you got the food, you got all the things you need to be successful, okay? And so those are the core things I'm looking for when I'm creating an offer. Okay, again, number 1, understanding the core part of the offer is the framework of the map. Number 2 is positioning as a new opportunity. Number 3 is figuring out how to increase the value by adding a bunch of things that are important to make it better. And number 4 is as I'm increasing the value, everything that I'm adding isn't just some random thing. I'm adding the next step, that all the things they need to actually be successful with the map I'm giving them. Okay, so those are the core things I'm looking at when I am creating an offer. Okay, secret number 5. We're still doing good on time. I'm about to give you guys a really cool gift here in a second. I was gonna tease you guys earlier about it, but I forgot. We got something really cool we created for all you guys, especially everyone at home. You guys are gonna freak out when you see this. But I got a couple more things to share with you before I give you guys the gift. Okay, secret number 5. You're just one funnel away. Now, I have people all the time, the hardest question I get on podcast interviews is like, hey Russell, I know that you talk about funnels more than anybody in the world. Like, can you explain what a funnel is to our audience? Every time I'm like, oh man. I'm like, well, a funnel is, it's like the hardest thing in the world for me to explain. Because for some people, a funnel is this, and other people, and like, there's a million things it could be, right? It's like the hardest thing for me to explain. And I started thinking about this, and I was like, what is the goal of a funnel? What does the funnel actually do? And all that a funnel actually does, the goal of every single funnel is to help deliver a sales presentation. Like that's all it is when all is said and done. There's different ways to do different types of funnels, but the goal of a funnel is to deliver a sales presentation. And we do a lot of looking through the data. We have a chance to see hundreds of thousands of people's businesses. And so a little while ago, I did a study. I was looking through, and so we looked through over 6.1 million funnels, over 130,000 split tests you guys are running, and I started looking at all the different stats and the numbers, trying to figure out, like, what are the commonalities? I'm always trying to figure out, like, what's the next thing for us, for the community to get to the next level, right? And what I found out was really, really interesting. The single biggest secret to selling more inside of your funnels without driving any extra traffic. Any ideas there might be? It's really interesting. It's fascinating because it wasn't the type of funnel people use. That was not what was the number one thing. It was not what your design looked like. It was not even what you were selling, okay? The number one thing that showed how much money someone would make inside of a funnel was the person's ability to communicate their story with someone who entered into funnels. Like that's the most important skill set, is understanding how do you deliver the message. And people ask me, hey, what's the most important funnel? Like, what's the best funnel, Russell? Is it a webinar funnel? Is it a high-ticket funnel? Is it a challenge funnel? Is it a book funnel? Is it like, what's the best funnel? And the reality is it doesn't really matter. What matters is, are you able to communicate your story in a way that gets people to move, gets people to go and buy something? Like, that is the most important thing, okay? I've seen people with the ugliest funnels in the world who are really good at telling the story, and they win. I've seen people with the most beautifully designed funnels that look amazing. They save tons of money in designers, and the story, the message is wrong, whole thing flops. Okay? Your ability to communicate your story with people in your funnel is the number one thing to actually make the money you want. which is really fun, okay? And again, I look at every single funnel. The goal of every single sales presentation is one thing only, is to give you the ability to make your sales presentation so then you can make the offer. Like that's all it really is when all's said and done, okay? And so over the next couple days, I'm gonna be going a lot deeper into all these different pieces. In fact, tomorrow, I'm gonna go next slide. The three core things we talk a lot about is offers. Like, what is your level 10 offer? What's the offer you're gonna be able to create, okay? Most of the speakers today are gonna be talking about different types of offers. We got a couple speakers talking e-commerce offers, a couple speakers talking expert offers. Like, you're gonna be learning a bunch of different ways to figure out what offer you guys need to help grow your company. So number one is figuring out your level 10 offer. The second step then is mastering what's called a one-to-many presentation. How do you create a presentation that you deliver one time, but many people can see it and they can convert and buy from that? In fact, the entire theme of tomorrow is this. I've got 2 90-minute presentations I'm doing specifically about this, which is learning how to sell one-to-many. I'm so excited for tomorrow. It's gonna be insane. Okay, because if you can master that, if you can master having a really good offer, mastering one-to-many selling, and the third step then is that's what gets you on the road to get 2 commas worth of impact. So that's the process we're gonna be taking us through over the next couple of days. And my goal, obviously, when I talk about one-to-many selling, a lot of people think it's this, and it is. It's talking to a whole bunch of people, but as you'll see tomorrow, one-to-many selling is more powerful because if you can master the skill set, you can plug in those presentations to any kind of sales funnel, and that's how you grow and how you scale outside of yourself, okay? So that's what we'll be talking about, like I said, all day tomorrow.